Hey Internet, it's RJ. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning into the first show of the year. So, of course, Happy New Year's to you. It is Sunday, so we are going to go around the net, cover all the news you can use from technically last year and the week that was in credit and finance. So, we have SouthWest checking in with some updates for their travel meltdown. We have Citi filing yet another trademark patent for a potential new card. We'll touch on the Chase Inc. 524 pause, allegedly. And, of course, we'll cover some Affinity Federal Credit Union changes as well. So, of course, if that sounds interesting to you, then go ahead, press the subscribe button, and let's get to work. Now we'll lead off with SouthWest. So the synopsis of this, in case you haven't been following along over the last, week and a half, 2 weeks, basically, over Christmas and over New Year's, there was a ton of snowstorms going around the country. Most of us were impacted by some degree, the various levels of snowfall and whatnot. However, the other airlines were affected, canceling flights, the standard stuff that you would expect. However, every other airline managed to recover, fairly well, of course, depending on how you were personally impacted. However, SouthWest had a total abject failure and meltdown, stranding tons of people, bags, canceling a ton of flights. Now, they've come out recently with an FAQ page that kind of gives us some insights into what they're going to try to do to hopefully just begin to make things right. So if you were impacted, I'll link this down below for you. But here's what we have. The highlights anyways, you are going to be able to rebook your original class if you want, or, fly standby, and this is going to be good through, January 2nd, and there should be no additional charges for this. Now, we've seen people look into this who have SouthWest bookings through January, and some have said they can even, change tickets and rebook even farther out with no fee, so definitely keep an eye on that. Now, in addition to that, they are going to reimburse, quote, reasonable expenses for those affected. Now, they're loosely defining it. They're saying meals, hotels, other travel arrangements, but these delays and cancellations have impacted people for quite some time, so reasonable should be very broad category, when you're talking about being delayed 2-3 days and things like that. Now, of course, if you go to that FAQ page, underneath the option for reimbursement, there's an email address, and you can go file a claim. And of course, you're going to need documentation as probably as far as when you were booked, like your ticket or something like that, your rebooking confirmation, and then any receipts that you have. Now, in addition to that, again, this is more so in case you have family affected, because you guys probably know this, but, make sure to check with folks to see what credit cards they use to book in the beginning, because they could also be up for additional compensation depending on which kind of travel card they use to book their flight. So there's that, and of course, if you've been able to start submitting things, we'll get some data points going down below of what they are and aren't covering. Again, I would assume this should be widely open because of how much they impacted folks, and hopefully this is only the beginning of what they're going to start to do to try to make up for this, because this was quite the disaster, to say the least. So with that, we're going on to Affinity Federal Credit Union. Now, Affinity Federal, we did a full video on them. I'll link that down below if you are interested. But in typical fashion, as soon as I make a video about something, the company comes back and makes some changes. So the Affinity Cashback card's the one you want here. That's the only card they have of any interest, really. So that card's basically like another version of the Chase Amazon card, where you get 5% back on Amazon and bookstores. It is capped at about $3,500 a quarter, but there is no, Amazon Prime membership requirement to get that. So people do like this as an alternative card. In addition to that, Affinity has something called the High Five program, or had the High Five program, where they would offer a bonus category up to 5% back, the same $3,500 cap each quarter. Well, we had a friend of the show message Affinity and try to figure out when he was going to figure out what his categories are, and this is actually what they said to him. So we have it. This is the chat. Again, I've just blocked out the name. So again, our friend of the show writing in to figure out what the categories are, and Affinity comes back and they say, hey, for next quarter, the bonus points are going to be based on how much is spent with your card. There are no longer any spending categories. Bonus points are earned as follows. So the Affinity Cash Rewards Visa Signature, in addition to standard points that you're going to get, you earn 3,000 points when spending $2,000, 6,500 points when spending $5,000, 11,500 when spending $7,500 during the promotional period. Again, January 1st through March 31st. To qualify and receive the additional bonus points, the required spend amount in purchases must be met. Obviously, I don't know why they put that in there sometimes. So with that is, I can't figure out. It really just depends on who you are, honestly, because on one hand, it was nice to get a random another 5% bonus category that could definitely help out building out a strong cashback setup. So if you're someone who, this was just you bank with Affinity, which isn't a bad credit union, honestly, and this was your card, this could potentially be easier. But for the rest of us who likely have this as one of our cards in a larger setup, then I think it's a little bit tougher because, you're gonna maybe you could max it out the $2,000 tranche there, because you would maybe max out the Amazon at $3,500 a quarter. I could see people doing that, but anything past that, those bonus points, I think you'll have another card that earns more than it. So I think this really depends on who you are. Personally, I probably would like to see the category remain, but honestly, it was one of the weirdest things because they never really marketed it anyways. It was kind of one of those secret things where, like, if you know kind of deal. So it is unfortunate to see it going away. I can see this working for some and not so much for others. So if you have this card, let me know your thoughts down below and how you might want to, adjust your setup accordingly. Now, we're going to take a look at Citibank, one of my favorite issuers I just really want to believe in. So, again, Proud Money found this a few days ago, but Citi has filed another trademark for another, which we assume to be another credit card. So we take a look at this. We have this time the Strata Premier card. So this trademark was filed just last week, a few days into December. So this time the Strata Premier, again, it's got the good, if you go down to the statements for the goods and services, you can see promoting the sale of credit card accounts. Now, they also had another card, the Strata Elite trademark that we found, I think it was filed in September maybe. So looks like two trademarks, which again, of course, we want to now assume that they could potentially be coming out with two new credit cards. We don't really know. I mean, honestly, who's to say? It looks like it, but a lot of times you file trademarks because you have an idea and you don't want anyone to take it. So it could be that these may not come to pass. Wishful thinking, I guess. I do think one will come, but if we want to speculate here for a second, they have the Citi Premier, so this one's called the Strata Premier, so is it possible they're just going to rebrand the Citi Premier to the Strata Premier, or is it possible you'd have the Strata Elite maybe up in the $700 range, and then you put another one down in the $450 range, and then you'd have the Premier below it? There's a few different ways they could play it, and what we do know about Citi is Citi generally likes people with higher net worth, so it would potentially make sense to say, hey, why don't we go after our top tier net worth people, something to cross sell them. We'll have a mid-tier Sapphire Reserve Platinum competitor maybe, and then we'll have the Premier, which is a Sapphire Preferred Green Gold competitor maybe, something like that. That could be it if they end up pushing out both of these. But again, it's really early. It's really hard to say for sure just looking at this. But speculating's fun, so that's my speculation. It could be a new tier of cards. But I don't know if you want to go Premier then Strata Premier. I feel like the wording maybe will confuse people. So that one could just be a replacement to the Premier. I'm not really sure. So let me know what you think down below. Again, just based off of these trademark filings. It may not even come to pass. So with that, we're going to take a look at Chase and the Ink line. Now, this is a little bit of an older story, but we might still be able to cash in on it. So earlier, one of the blogs here actually reported that the Chase, from a quote insider, was actually suspending 524 for the Ink cards, right? So Ink on Cash, Ink Unlimited, Preferred, and Premier I think count underneath that as well, though they've only been pushing the Cash and the Unlimited. So that's pretty big deal. Now, of course, it wasn't like publicly known. Again, it's just an insider, so we're just going off of what the internet says, right? And so overall, I've seen like mixed comments on this. Some folks were able to get in over 524, some were not. So it's been a very mixed bag. You can kind of tell a little bit by how long a company leaves their elevated bonuses out there, right? The elevated Ink bonuses have been out there for quite some time. So I'll put a link down below if you are interested. It is a referral link. They're still really good offers. Best offers we've seen, but they've been out there for quite some time, and we saw this last time actually. I think it was last year or the year before when they bumped it up to $750. We saw the offers go for quite some time, and those offers actually became the permanent offers for the Ink card. So, all that to say, maybe Chase hasn't yet hit their quota on it. I don't know if this final push is going to do anything because, again, Chase doesn't announce, hey, we're pausing 524, and I have seen mixed data points. So, if you were on the fence about these, I do think it's worth a shot. And if you had applied before and you ended up getting denied within the last 30 days, I still think it's worth a call to recon just to see that, hey, maybe I can get grandfathered in for the past week now. I have a video on Chase reconsideration line I can put down for you as well. So this is one of those things that I keep my eye on going into this year to see what they're going to do. We'll see how long these bonuses last. Generally, they seem like they push one set of cards, then flip to another ones. It hasn't been 2 years for me. I would have gotten the Ink Unlimited again. Now I do hope they push something for the Ink Preferred. I know it's already a pretty high bonus, but I know we've seen something crazier in the past, like 150, 160, because that's the last Ink card that I need actually to complete my full setup. So if you were able to get through 524, let us know down below. Sometimes with those data points, I don't know that everyone counting really knows how to count 524 or not. So it's always a grain of salt deal. But anyways, that has been the news from last year. So next week we can get to this year's news. But anyways, if you liked it, drop me a thumbs up down below. Of course, if you found it particularly interesting, consider subscribing to the channel. So we are right here every week. Of course, back here on Sundays, posting all the news you can use in the week that was in credit and finance. Again, question for you guys. Let me know maybe what your favorite stories of last year were, what you're hoping to see going into this year. We're going to get a predictions video going very soon. And of course, what else have you seen going on in the news that you love to chat about? Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you very soon this week.